All right, Algebra 2, welcome to your 5.5 to 5.8 quiz review. We're going to do this quiz next Wednesday, the 17th. Here are the answers to the quiz review 2020 and beyond. So, first three, we have the sum or the difference of two perfect cubes. Again, if you have a to the third plus b to the third, it will factor by taking the cubed roots of a to the third and b to the third. That'd be a plus b. Take that first term a and I square it. Because I don't have any middle terms, I need the opposite sign of the inner product, a times b, and then I square the second term. And that's what we got going on. Number one, I take the cubed root of x to the third and 8. That gives me x plus 2. And I take this first term x and I square it, x squared. Notice how I don't have x squared, nor do I have x as a term. They have been canceled, and because they've been canceled, I need an opposite sign, a negative sign in there. So it's always opposite sign of the inner product, 2 times x, and then I take this second term, 2, and I square it. And that is how it's factors. Don't set it equal to anything. Here we are on number 2. So here is a cubed minus b cubed, and that would factor to be a minus b. Then I take a and square it. The opposite sign, the inner product, is a times b. Then I square the second term. Whether you consider the second term b or negative b, it doesn't matter. When you square it, you get b squared. Take the cubed root of x to the third, I get x. Minus, I take the third root of 27, I get 3. I take this first term and I square it, x squared. That sign is negative, so the opposite sign is plus. I take the inner product, 3 times x. I take negative 3 or positive 3, and I square it to get plus 9. All right, so on 3, I take the cubed root of 8, which is 2. I take the cubed root of x to the third, which is x, plus. The third root of 125 is 5. That's because 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. I take this first term, 2x, and I square all of it. That's a plus. This is a minus. The inner product, 2x times 5, or 5 times 2x is 10x. Then I take 5 and I square it. On 4, I take the third root of 27. That is 3x minus. I take the cubed root of 8. That's 2. I take 3x and I square it. I get 9x squared. If that's a negative, this is a positive. The inner product is 6x. 3x times 2 is 6x. I take negative 2 and I square it. That gives me 4. What multiplies to 24 and differs by 2? Anytime I have 3 terms, folks, I want to think about factoring, easy factoring, okay? Factoring you did in Algebra 1. What multiplies to 24 differs by 2. That would be 6 and 4. The middle term is positive, so it's got to be a plus 6 minus 4. I have to have x squared and x squared because I get x to the 4th. Now, if it says factor fully, which you might on your quiz, you need to factor x squared minus 4 because this is a difference of 2 perfect squares. This factors to be x plus 2 times x minus 2. All right, here we go on 6. What multiplies to 12 and adds to a negative 7? That would be a negative 3 and a negative 4. X squared minus 4, x squared minus 3. Again, x squared minus 4 factors to be x plus 2x minus 2. What multiplies to 42 and differs by 1? 7 and 6, the middle term is positive, so 7, the bigger factor, is positive, 6 is negative. X squared plus 7, x squared minus 6. And lastly, what multiplies to 40 and differs by 3? 8 and 5, the middle term is negative, so the bigger factor, 8, is negative. 5 is positive. You do not have a difference of 2 perfect squares because 8's not a perfect square. Same thing over here, 6 is not a perfect square. All right, here we go. Now we're solving. All right, and this whole page, same type of question. So again, if you see 3 terms, try what I call easy factoring that we did in Algebra 1. All right, so on the next one, we have what multiplies to 8 and adds to a negative 6, negative 4, negative 2. All right, so I got x squared minus 4, x squared minus 2 is 0. Cover-up method tells me that x squared minus 4 is 0, x squared minus 2 is 0. And then I just go about solving. X squared is 4, take the square root of 4. X squared is 2, take the square root of 2. Again, plus or minus for both. If x squared equals 4, x could be 2 or negative 2.
Hey, was there?
That's all right. We'll talk after. Moving on. Hey, that was Palmer in here because just about 15 minutes ago, one of your favorite English teachers, that would be a Mr. Kress, made one of the microwaves catch on fire. Yes, yes, yes. And it was Mr. Yak here who saved the day and stopped it and fanned it out a little bit. But yes, you'll have to ask Mr. Kress how he caught the microwave on fire and then almost, could have tripped the fire alarm, sending us all outside. And what is it, like 10 degrees? Anyway, I think Kress was trying to get me to freeze to death. But we saved the day here. What multiplies the 54 and differs by 3? 9 and 6. 9 is negative. 6 is positive. Set x squared minus 9 equal to 0. Cover up method. Set x squared plus 6 equal to 0. If you get x squared equals negative 6 and you take the square root of both sides, you're going to get plus or minus I root 6. Again, taking the square root of both sides. Don't forget about plus or minus. There we go. Then on 11, what multiplies to 6 and adds to 5? 3 and 2. X squared plus 3, x squared plus 2. Set x squared plus 3 equal to 0. X squared plus 2 equal to 0. X squared is a negative 3, x squared is a negative 2. Take the square roots of both negative 3 and negative 2. That brings up an issue. We have 4 imaginary solutions. 4 because it's I root 3 and negative I root 3, and then I root 2 and negative I root 2. Here we are, number 12. It multiplies to 14. It differs by 5. Positive 7, negative 2. X squared plus 7 is 0. X squared minus 2 is 0. I'm going to set x squared plus 7, x squared equals negative 7, x squared equals 2, and take the square root of a negative 7. Again, you're going to have plus or minus I root 7. We take the square root of a negative, make sure you take out I right away. Square root of 2 plus or minus square root of 2 is just going to be that. What multiplies to 72 differs by 1. Again, we got to know how to do easy factoring. What multiplies to 72 differs by 1. 9 and 8 multiply to 72, and they differ by 1. Middle term's negative, so 9's got to be negative, 8's got to be positive. Cover a method for them both. You get plus or minus 3, plus or minus I root 8, or 2I root 2, whatever your calculator says there on root 8. What multiplies 20 and adds to 12? Positive 10, positive 2. So now you got x squared plus 10 equals 0. X squared plus 2 equals 0. X squared is a negative 10. X squared is a negative 2. Take the square roots of both those negative numbers. So you got plus or minus I root 10, plus or minus I root 2. What multiplies 21 differs by 4. 7 and 3. X squared minus 7. X squared plus 3 is 0. All right, take the square root of a negative 3, you get plus or minus I root 3. Take the square root of 7, you get plus or minus root 7. What multiplies 56, adds to a negative 15, negative 8, negative 7. All right. Then I get my two answers. X squared minus 8 is 0. X squared is 8, so x is plus or minus root 8, or 2 root 2. X squared minus 7 is 0, so x squared is 7. Add 7 to both sides. X is plus or minus the square root of 7. All right, 17 through 20 are the big ones here. Solve each equation. You have either the sum or difference of two perfect cubes. So you need to factor like we did on the first 4, I believe, of this packet, of this quiz review. Okay, so the cubed root of x to the third is x, plus the third root of 125 is 5. Take the first term and I square it. If that's a plus, this is a minus. The inner product is 5 times x. I take the second term and I square it. Get my first easy answer there. X plus 5 is 0. X is a negative 5. Good. I always have to use the quadratic formula here. X equals the opposite of the middle term, plus or minus the square root of the middle term squared, minus 4, times a, what's attached to x squared, times c, the constant, all over 2, times what's attached to x squared. Not only must you use the quadratic formula, you'll always get an answer involving I. 5 plus or minus I root 75 over 2. Just leave, again, some of your calculators are going to say 5 root 3, so you can call it plus or minus 5I root 3. That's fine. Okay, these will probably be the hardest ones in the quiz. How does x to the third minus 8 factor? Let's take the cubed root of x to the third and 8, so it's x minus 2. Take the first term and square it. That's a negative. This has got to be a positive. The inner product is 2x. Take a negative 2 and square it, 4. Set x minus 2 equal to 0. You get x equals 2. Set this equal to 0. X equals the opposite of 2, plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4ac, all over 2a. Negative 2 plus or minus I root 12 over 2. 19. 8x to the third minus 27 equals 0. Take the cubed root of 8. X to the third, it's 2x, minus the cubed root of 27 is 3. I'm going to take that first term, 2x, and square it, 4x squared. If that's a negative, this is a positive. The inner product is 6x. I'm going to take negative 3 and square it, equals 0. All right. 2x minus 3 is 0. Get x is 3 over 2. Then I'm going to use the quadratic formula here. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a is also 4 times c is 9 all over 2 times a. Again, a is 4. 36 minus 144 is negative 108. That is negative 6 plus or minus I root 108 over 8. Again, we don't need much simplifying this year. Pre-calc and calculus, you do more simplifying. Take the cube root of 27, I get 3. And then attach the x plus the cube root of 64 is 4. Take that first term and square it. That's a plus. This is a minus. 3x times 4 is 12x. Now I'm going to square 4. I got 3x plus 4 equals 0. Then I'm going to use the quadratic formula on this. X equals the opposite of negative 12. So 12 plus or minus square root of negative 12 squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. 144 minus 576. Is negative 432, so it's 12 plus or minus I root 432 over 18. Find the rational roots. Rational roots. Now, I made a mistake I didn't mean to write 21 like I did, but anyway, you got 3 terms here, so we're going to think of easy factoring. What multiplies to 5 and adds to 6, 5 and 1, and instead of like x squared, or x and x, it's got to be x to the third times x to the third. That gives me x to the 6th. I set them both equal to 0. Okay, I don't have to do all the factoring I did on 17 through 20. It says rational roots. I set x to the third plus 1 equal to 0, and I get x equals negative 1 is my one real and rational root there. Here I made a boo-boo. The cubed root of the third root of negative 5, which is an answer because a negative times a negative is a negative. I just made that look worse. That's not rational, so I made a mistake there. Let's go to 22. What multiplies to 8 and differs by 7? 8 and 1. Middle term is negative, so the bigger factor, 8, is negative. X cubed minus 8 is 0. X to the third plus 1 is 0. Again, I'm asking for just the rational roots. So set that equal to 0. You get x is 2. Set this equal to 0. You get x equals negative 1. You don't have to use the quadratic formula twice. You have these in your notes packet, and we did the same thing. Okay, and we're moving on here. Given a polynomial and one of its factors, find the remaining factors of the polynomial. All right, so I'm telling you that x minus 2 is a factor, so we're going to divide by it. We're going to set x minus 2 equal to 0, put 2 in the cubby. 1x to the third is 0x squared, negative 7x and 6. I do synthetic division. I bring down the 1. I multiply the cubby number by this, and then I add them up. This plus this is 2. I multiply. Then I add them up. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Then I add them up. 0. I better get a remainder of 0. So 1 stands for 1x squared because I started with x to the third, and I divided by power of x. 1x squared plus 2x minus 3. How's that factor? X plus 3x minus 1. That's your answer, the 2 factors, okay? So I do synthetic division again. I said x plus 2, what I'm dividing by, equal to 0. Negative 2 goes in the cubby. 1x to the third, 5x squared, negative 4x, negative 20. Bring the 1 down. Negative 2 times 1 is a negative 2. I add them up. Negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6. I add them up. Negative 2 times negative 10 is 20. I add them up. So this is x to the third plus 3x minus 10 What multiplies to 10? It differs by 3, 5, and 2. Middle term's positive, so that's positive. 2 is negative. 25, same deal here. Set what you're dividing by equal to 0. 4 goes in the cubby. 1x to the third, negative 1x squared, negative 10x, negative 8. Bring down the 1, multiply and add, multiply and add, multiply and add. X squared plus 3x plus 2. What multiplies to 2 and adds to 3? It's got to be positive 2 and positive 1. 26, again, I am dividing by x minus 1. I set this equal to 0. 1 goes in the cubby. This one kind of looks like number 23. 1x to the third is 0x squared, negative 13x and 12. Bring the 1 down. 1 times 1 is 1, add them up. 1 times 1 is 1, add them up. 1 times negative 12 is negative 12, add them up. X squared plus x minus 12. What multiplies to 12 differs by 1, 4, and 3. Middle term is positive, so 4 is positive, 3 is negative. 27, given that x equals 4 is the solution to this, find the other solutions. So I just take it one step further. I need to find its factors and set them equal to 0. So 1x to the third, negative 3x squared, negative 10x, 24. Do synthetic division. 4 goes in the cubby. Bring down the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, add them up. 4 times 1 is 4, add them up. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24, add them up. X squared plus x minus 6. Ooh, and I stopped there. I didn't give the solutions. So it factors to be x plus 3x minus 2. Then I set it equal to 0. Cover-up method, x plus 3 is 0. X minus 2 is 0. So x is 2. Negative 3 and 2 are your two solutions. And we're rolling here. Solve each equation. Again, think of this as x to the fourth plus 0x minus 16 equals 0. What multiplies 16 differs by 0. 4 and 4. One's positive, one's negative. And then this pretty much looks like ones we did, what is that, on the second page? You got to add in an x here or else we're in trouble. Call that 15x. Then factor out the x that they now all have in common. So you're left with x squared plus 8x plus 15. What multiplies to 15 and adds to 8? 5 and 3. Cover-up method. X equals 0. X plus 5 is 0. X plus 3 is 0. Okay, 30, I got to factor by grouping. Okay, I'm going to group those two together first. They have an x squared in common. So factor or divide away the x squared. This had 3 x's. Now it has 1 plus. It's just 6 because you took away its x squared. I always need to bring down the sign in the middle. Plus. 7x and 42 don't have an x in common, but they're both multiples of 7. So I'm going to factor out a 7. 7x divided by 7 is x. Positive 42 divided by 7 is 6. The x plus 6's are the same, so they go together in one parenthesis. Those outsiders, x squared plus 7, go together. Cover-up method, x squared plus 7 is 0, and x plus 6 is 0. Then I go about solving. All right, 31 here. Factor out the x that all those terms have in common. Then I ask myself, again, I have 3 terms here now with a constant. Well, it multiplies to 12 and differs by 4. 6 and 2, middle term's negative, so the bigger factor, 6 is negative, 2 is positive. Cover-up method, I get x equals 0. X squared minus 6 is 0. X squared plus 3 is 0. X squared plus 2 is 0, sorry. And then I get my solutions. Again, when you take the square root of a negative, calculator, some math there, that's going to tell you that that is I, plus or minus I root 2. All right, 32, factor out the x they have in common. Then you ask yourself, what multiplies to 21 and adds to a negative 10? Negative 7, negative 3. Cover-up method says x equals 0. X minus 7 is 0. X minus 3 is 0. Factor out the x they have in common. You're left with x to the fourth minus x squared minus 30. What multiplies to 30 differs by 1. 6 and 5. Middle term is negative, so x squared minus 6. X squared plus 5. Again, cover-up method, x is 0. X squared minus 6 is 0. X squared plus 5 is 0. All right, there we go. When you solve. Then we are rolling here. Write a polynomial function of least degree with the given zeros. Again, we say least degree because x is going to be equal to -4 only once, not twice or 3 times like we've seen before. X equals 1 and x equals 2. That's what I know. So what I do is I move those solutions over. Now they're factors. So if x was equal to -4, x plus 4 would be set equal to 0. X minus 1 would be set equal to 0. X minus 2 would be set equal to 0. Then I'm going to take these first two. I'm going to FOIL. First, outer, inner, last. I'm going to simplify it. Bring down that x minus 2, and then I'm going to distribute. X to the third minus 2x squared plus 3x squared minus 6x minus 4x plus 8. That simplifies to give you that. All right, on 35, x equals 0, x equals -2, x equals 4. Again, move it over. X plus 2, x minus 4. And then it's just x. It's just x. All right, we saw plenty of that. If this was set equal to 0, there it is, x equals 0. Okay, so I'm going to first, outer, inner, last. This first, outer, inner, last. And then I'm just going to give everything an x. 36. X is a -3, x equals 2i. Every time I get an answer of I, it's always plus or minus 3i, plus or minus 2i, plus or minus I root 5. So if x equals 2i, x also equals a -2i. All right? So then here's what we can do. I can say x times x equals 2 times a -2. So x squared will equal -4. If x squared equals -4, I can take the square root. -4, I get plus or minus 2i. Okay? I do x times x equals 2 times -2. I get x squared equals -4. I move the -4 over. That would give me x squared plus 4 in a parenthesis. I move the -3 over. I'd have x plus 3 in the other. And I just do first, outer, inner, last there. I FOIL it up. On 37, x equals 0, x equals 4i. Then x would also equal -4i. So x times x, which is x squared, equals 4 times -4, which is a -16. Going to move this 16 over. That's x squared plus 16. If x equals 0, again, it's just x as a factor. And then multiply x squared and 16 by x. Getting close here. So find the zeros of that. So I'm going to factor out what they have in common here. The first two terms, they have an x squared in common, leaving me with 3x minus. I took away its x squared, so just 5. I got to bring down this minus sign. 27x and 45 don't have an x in common, but they're multiples of 9. -27 divided by -9 is 3. Attach the x. 45 divided by -9 is a -5. Again, you need 3x minus 5 twice. And then you got x squared minus 9 on the other one. X squared minus 9, 3x minus 5. Set it equal to 0. Cover up method. Cover up method. Set it equal to 0. Those are your 3 solutions. Plus 3, -3, 5/3. All right, 39. What multiplies to 32 and adds to a -12, -8 and -4. X squared minus 8, x squared minus 4 is 0. Set this equal to 0. Set this equal to 0. Those are your answers. Now this 1 through 39 serves as your large review here, but I just wanted to direct your attention. This was a past quiz, a quiz used in the past. Here's some answers here. Again, how does that factor? X minus 5. Again, you take the cube root of x to the third and 125. That's x minus 5. Square the first term. If you have a minus, it's a plus. The inner product is 5x. Square 5 or -5 to get 25. Take a look at this one. We're just factoring. What multiplies to 72 differs by 1. 9 and 8. Middle term's negative, so that's a -9, positive 8. X squared minus 9 would factor to be x plus 3x minus 3. Want to factor something like 7, just factor out the x they have in common. You're left with an x times x squared plus 13x plus 42. What multiplies 42 adds to 13, x plus 7, x plus 6. Factor out the x they have in common there. What multiplies 50 differs by 5, x plus 10, x minus 5 with the x on the outside. Factor out the x squared that these two have in common. Divided by x to the second. X to the second divided by x to the second is a positive 1. These two have 10 in common. They're multiples of 10. So bring down the plus. Divide both these terms by 10. 30x divided by 10 is 3x. Plus 10 divided by 10 is 1. 3x plus 1 in one parenthesis, and the x squared plus 10 in the other parenthesis. So definitely know how to do those. Last one here, and then everything else is pretty standard. I did see some errors. Honors Algebra 2 quiz relating to this. X to the fourth minus 16. That'd be x squared minus 4, x squared plus 4. All right. This one looks very similar. In fact, we might have done one just like this. Those are the two answers. What multiplies 36 differs by 0, 6, and 6. 1 positive, 1 negative. Those are the 4 answers because you get positive root 6, negative root 6, positive I root 6, negative I root 6. Anyway, folks, that is a very thorough quiz review for your quiz on Wednesday, February 17th. This is Yak Math Video signing out.